my window open just a smidgen. I don't know if you can see it right there, just a smidgen,
With fresh
and
air.
I'm getting just enough fresh air where I really appreciate it. So yeah. So what's new with you? Anything interesting going on down there?
I've been spelunking in the docks recently.
Oh yes, maybe we'll add that to our things to talk about list. In fact, let's pop that on the old screen. This is this week's episode. It is September 23rd, so I did a good job of updating that date. I don't always catch it, but I did today. That's nice. There has been a new release, which is interesting. This 26.8. We'll take a look at those release notes. And then we'll have a bunch of interesting little comments on things like the Linux ZD Desktop Edge for Linux that's cooking, Python, and I should probably call that the Python. Let's see if I can update this in real time. The Python SDK, and we'll put an S on posting so that it looks right. Postings, because I know Ken did one too. So this is our agenda, and so let's pop right into it here. We're gonna throw up the release notes, which are on a different screen. Now they're over here, so now I can read them. So let's see, what is new in 26.8? Let's see, what's new? Allow filtering model entities by tag. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. We've had a couple people talk about using tags before.
As
And
distinct from role attributes.
yeah, very distinct, right? Tags allow you to add just whatever information you want
Just
to.
metadata, not authorization.
Definitely, yeah. But it's information important to you as the consumer of the API.
Right.
Lets you add random data onto your entities. So we got some cool stuff cooking from Steven. I know he's been looking at doing some passwordless SSH type of thing. So maybe he'll end up using that. I don't know. I think that's the first place I heard it recently. And then Michael Quigley's working on some interesting, cool stuff, and he wanted to use tags too. And so Paul Lorenz went in and then did some magic one night, and all of a sudden now you can sort by tags and find them and do some interesting things there. So that's cool. Fabric metrics. I tend not to know much about the metrics. Ken, do you?
No, I only have questions.
I only have questions. I love it. So that's interesting. Maybe down below it's got more details. We got some bug fixes that always happens. Cool. ZDCLI now supports the external ID claim. Also interesting. Over in the discourse, we have very active user pushing ZD to some fun and exciting edges. And one of those edges is all about this external ID, and the specific post that made us kind of take a look at this and find out that we maybe missed something in one of our updates was that they were trying to have two separate computers that come online through their own PKI. So an external third party CA was being used, and they can create certificates they have that whole machinery in place, and they're able
Sure.
to add a common name to each of those certificates. And they wanted to have two different machines with the same common name
Oh,
represented by one singular identity inside of ZD. And that's exactly what we did with Spiffy and Spire back in the day when Andrew was on ZD TV here. Did the exact same thing. I don't know what mechanism the discourse user is using, but it's the same idea. When I went to do it myself, I noticed that external ID claim was was not there, and so that's been added in by Andrew, which is cool. Looks like he improved the listing of the CAs. Nice. Automatic file reloads. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna check that out. I haven't heard of this one yet. Which just means I probably haven't paid attention when somebody talked about it in our daily meetings.
so tags are just key value pairs.
Oh yeah. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Tags are just key value pairs on your objects themselves, and now you can search by them like this location equals PA. So I imagine location is the tag that you added, and PA is the value that you added to that tag. That's cool. A couple events. That's the stuff. Event consolidation, tagging, external claim. That's neat. Yeah, this is all. Oh, cool. So here we have a way of defining what the external. I didn't see any announcement in Mattermost. It's not released yet. That's a good point. I don't know if maybe am I. No, this is
Are you on a
actually
draft?
released. No, this is actually a release. Yeah, so maybe we have to announce the 26.8. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll have to look into that one too. I'm not so sure. I should turn off my chat here. I'm getting pinged by everybody. Let's see what else is interesting in here. Prefix, suffix, and scheme, metric criteria. This looks interesting. I want to play around with this. I have not played around with this. Here's a good example showing Spiffy. This is matching a SAN URI. I see. I haven't played with this, but that looks interesting and fun and exciting. Everybody should be playing with this because it looks fun and exciting. That's cool. Yeah, that's the release notes. So I guess we got that out of the way. Let's turn off the old sharing of the screen, and now let's go back and bring in today's two special guests. Ken, can you believe it?
I can.
I have never paid attention to the fact that the name Ken and Can are so close together. Can believe it. I feel like there's a tongue twister in there. We could come up with one. Let's bring the first guy on. It's going to be Eugene Kobyakov, return visitor. He's been here before talking about SDKs. Hi, Eugene. How's things?
Hello, everyone. I'm sitting here in Western New York, just as you, Clint. Not really enjoying the weather, but
as good as the next question. And let's bring on. I don't think we've ever had Sean Carey on. Sean, have you ever been on Ziti TV yet?
I have not. Hello,
welcome to Ziti. Hello, world. That's right. Can you write some code that spits that out for us and put it in the chat there? Speaking of chat, we do have a chat enabled. So if you're out there and want to interact with anybody on the Open Ziti team, today's the day. We got 4 people on the team on. Yeah, so the agenda's very loose today. Didn't have exactly anything to go over. I was talking to Sean just this morning, and I don't know if everybody's keeping up, but for the longest time we've had ZD Desktop Edge for Windows. We've had a ZD Desktop Edge for Mac. We've had ZD Mobile Edge for Android, ZD Mobile Edge for iOS, and we have said we supported Linux through ZD Edge Tunnel, but there's never been a UI for ZD Edge Tunnel on Linux, and up until not too long ago, there were no nice packaging availability. You couldn't actually, apt install it if you wanted to go down that path. But we're working on all those sort of things, which is awesome. Making it easier to consume ZD, to get ZD installed is a personal passion of mine. And today I was talking to Sean, and we were talking about the sort of differences between the ZD Desktop Edge for Windows and Linux. Specifically on Windows, we have customers who are in Active Directory worlds or domain environments, AD, Active Directory domains, where users are not actually administrators to their own laptop. So the ZD Desktop Edge for Windows is built in 3 parts, UI part, monitor part, and then the data part, which also was ZD Edge Tunnel nowadays. Wasn't for a while. That was also a big effort that went through. And now we're moving into the Linux world, which is cool. So we have a UI. We showed that a couple weeks ago, I think. In case you haven't seen it, you should go check that out. And then one of the things that wasn't working then is the ability to start and stop the ZD Edge Tunnel. And so Sean and I were talking about that. And I told him that the ZD Monitor exists in Windows specifically for starting the data plane, the ZD Edge Tunnel. You could turn off ZD Edge Tunnel by itself, but you could never turn it back on again. And that's because we have these users who are not administrators. And so you need some way of being able to enable that service. There might be some way to do it through groups and permissions and stuff like that in Windows. We haven't invested enough time to go down that path. But now that we're doing ZD Desktop Edge for Linux, Sean's like, hey, why don't we do it in a different way? Why don't we do it in a better way? So, Sean, can you tell me again, and everybody who might be listening, how we're planning on interacting from the UI to turn on and off that data plane, that kind of thing that we have as a Windows service?
Right. So yeah, I'm not super familiar with the UI code base. Jeremy's been working on that recently, so it's all pretty new stuff. And I've just
Well,
been scratching at it, but not looking deeply.
but
Um,
you don't know how it tries to turn on and off.
I do.
Oh,
So it
okay.
shells out. It does a sudo. It tries to sudo to start and stop the services, which I actually just learned that this morning. I thought it was just running a systemctl command to start, but it is actually explicitly trying to sudo, which changes the way we might solve the problem, or we might change that code so it doesn't explicitly sudo.
So the UI written in Electron, anybody can go look at that. So if I went out to that UI code base, I would find the word sudo in the code base. Sudo,
Yes,
sudo. Interesting. I did not
correct.
know that. I th-
Yeah,
so,
so I
so
didn't know that either.
I thought we
Um,
were going to be sending an IPC command from the UI to the ZDEdge tunnel, but in this case, it couldn't be ZDEdge tunnel because if you turn it off, how would you turn it back on again?
right.
So what are you thinking about doing then? What's the mechanism?
Well, so on Linux, there are a few different ways to allow users to do things that they don't have administrative privilege to do. Sudo is one of the common ways that it's done on Linux. It lets you give a user or users within a group permission to do something like superpowers for just specific commands. Um, or you can just give them like blanket superpowers and let them do anything, which is, I think, the way it's used very often. There are ways in more recent versions of Linux to be more controlled, more precise about what you allow users to do. And the mechanism that I was looking at is called PolicyKit. You can define rules in PolicyKit that let you do very specific controls on what users can and cannot do.
Now,
So
Ken, I see you nodding over there, and I know that you're a relatively advanced Linux user. Have you heard of this policy kit thing?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't gone deep on it though. I'm here to learn.
Cool. All right, Sean. Sorry, I just Ken was nodding very knowingly. I thought he might have something in there. Keep going.
Ken, that's the only way that Ken nods, I thought.
So policy kit, and so what? That, like, how long has that been around? Is it? You said newer Linux versions. What is it on
Well,
Ubuntu and Fedora? Is Fedora still a thing? Does Red Hat
oh
still?
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fedora is the thing, if you ask me.
All right.
Um,
That's where it's at for you. No Ubuntu for you.
that's
It's all Fedora.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Nice.
Desktop Linux.
I'll go out of my way for Ubuntu for testing, but my home is Fedora.
Nice.
Um,
So no
yeah.
app for
So
you.
so PolicyKit exists on a wide range of Linux versions, but it has changed over the years. And what I learned is that Ubuntu has been very slow to pick up recent versions of PolicyKit, which has a pretty severe effect on what you can do. Because at one point, version 106, I believe, PolicyKit changed the way you define rules. So the syntax is completely different, and the
That's
capabilities are
nice.
different too.
That,
So
that
it's
makes it
almost
easy to
not,
integrate with.
yeah, it makes it very easy. Yeah, different languages and different primitives. So you can do different stuff with the newer version. So that's what I started looking at because Fedora is up to snuff on PolicyKit, and then I realized Ubuntu is not. So we were, I think I mentioned in a call earlier this week that we'll probably do something different for Ubuntu and Fedora, and that was the reason.
I see. So, in case anybody's joining, we're talking about Linux UI, packaging it up, and the impact that it has for how you can start and stop the services. So, I just wanted to bring that up in case anybody's joining. I see we have a few extra visitors, which is awesome. Let's turn this off and put that away. Poof. All right. So, PolicyKit is only available. How are we going to be able to target the latest Ubuntu with PolicyKit then, or is it?
No, Not even the latest. They are stubbornly stuck on the before you can actually define these rules. They had a different DSL for defining capabilities that users can do, and I honestly haven't even bothered to learn it because it doesn't give you the control that I was hoping to get with the newer code.
There's some sort of feature that's missing.
You can, so basically yes, with the new policy kit, you can say, I want this user or users in this group to specifically be able to manage this service. And those are the concepts that you use. You don't say, for example, I want them to be able to sudo systemctl start ZD edge tunnel, because that's not even great if you use sudo for that, because you also have to allow systemctl start ZD edge tunnel dot service if you want to be thorough and make sure that the user can manage the service in whatever way they might try to start it. For example, if they're using tab completion. So it's nice to be able to specifically say, I just want to let this user manage this service and
or members of a particular group.
Yes.
And so Fedora will let you do that, but Ubuntu won't.
The newer version of PolicyKit, which is in Fedora and CentOS as well.
That was going to be my next question, is whether it was in CentOS and Red Hat too.
Yeah, there's a stubbornness in Ubuntu about the dependencies that the newer PolicyKit has, and I guess they don't want to bring in those dependencies. There's actually an issue written up on it. So yeah, this is the kind of fun that I've been looking into over the last few days.
So if you're on Ubuntu, you will have to put in your password to start and stop.
Oh no, that's the way it is right now. But I mean, we can always use the sudoers. We can make a sudoers file, and that's what we'll do. It's not as clean, it's not as precise, but it lets us accomplish our goal.
Okay,
it's a universal mechanism at the very least.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
it's just not the.
Is that, and I don't know anything about installation packages in Linux. When you remove a dependency or what do you call it? A unit? What do you install?
A systemd unit, a service.
Well, just when you run apt install, what is that, like a program? What is the unit called?
The Debian package file.
A package, that's the word. Yes, that's what I couldn't come up with. When you install a package, when you remove a package, can you do things like remove from the sudoers file? Is that an option too?
I think the option is just to make sudoers file part of the package.
Oh, you can do that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because they have drop-in files. So sudoers has a drop-in directory. Now the problem with that is not every distro looks in those drop-in directories by default. Only the more recent Ubuntu versions do that.
How more recent? Like, are we talking like 14?
Like,
or are we talking?
I think
22?
like 20. I think maybe 18, but it wasn't until pretty recent that they by default look in the drop-in directory.
So prior to that, you had to have a directive in the main sudoers file that said, "Hey, go also look in the .d include directory."
And it's there. It's just commented out in the older distros.
Well, that's cool. So, so soon enough, we'll be able to have a package that installs the UI, we hope, and that UI will start and stop your actual data service. I don't like calling it the VPN because it's not a VPN, right? That'll be fun. That's exciting.
The tunneler. We can call it the tunneler.
The tunneler, yeah. Nice. Well, up until like 10:30, that was going to be our whole Ziti TV. But then Eugene says, "Hey, why don't we talk about Python SDK, which I don't think we have on Ziti TV yet." So, Eugene, what do you want to say about the Python SDK?
So I thought we had it, but maybe in a brief kind of way.
I can tell you the doc never thought we had it. That was we learned that. Well, I mean, I knew this, but like I was reminded of it when we did the Hacker News things, right? Like on the landing page right here, we do not have Python, although I know it's on the NetFoundry stuff, but I know it's missing from here.
We had one episode. We had Eugene on, just you and Eugene. One episode at least where he used PyCharm and showed a couple of examples. But yeah, it never
Oh,
made it
maybe
onto
we
the
did
landing
then. Maybe
page.
I forgot because we had Steven on, right? Steven's talked about it. I think we did too.
Yes, Stephen
We
talked
did
about
that.
his
Stephen came in to talk about Ansible, but he didn't
Right.
really have any collateral that people could read. I mean, everybody loves, Ziti TV clients, especially listening to you.
Of course.
But people like to read, sometimes read too. So I thought we could cover, two two posts that we did, this week. One was the Python SDK introduction, and that's on our blog site. Maybe you can drop a link to that. And the
Let's
second
go
one
to
was
open.
published by Ken, and that is kind of the template for anybody who wants to use Python SDK to provide a webhook to a private service website, something private service. So that got a great response on Hacker News and in the Reddit community. So we could talk about those.
Cool. All right. So if you haven't seen the chat, this is the URL. The main blog post right now is openzd.io. And this is the introduction. Love the Ziggy plus Python image. That's a great header. Go out there and give it a read. Oh yeah, there's also Ziggy with his Python shirt on. Very important. And then what was the other one that you said? It was, we don't have a blog post on it, right? Like it was the actual project itself, correct, Ken? OpenZD
Yeah, that's right. I'll go ahead and
test
put it in the chat.
kitchen. Must have been updated recently.
I threw it in the chat.
Webhooks, right there. I found
There
it
you go.
without you. I found it without you, Ken. All right, cool. Let's put that one on the old ticker. Boom. Add. Click this. Click that. There we go. And that's this one. Webhooks Z. Go read about that too. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So the Hacker News posts. That's something that we're starting to try to get better at, right? Where we let the world know that there's this stuff out here called OpenZD, that we're doing these fun and interesting things. Eugene wrote up that blog post and put it on Hacker News. Like I said, we had the recognition that the landing page, where's the landing page? This one was missing the Python SDK. So that's still on the to-do list to update. Ken, did you actually file an issue for that?
Yes, I did.
Lovely. See, that's the way we do it. All right. So that's cool. So we got content now out there that you can go to and read. Is there anything that was specific about the writing the article, Eugene, that you thought was interesting? What were there any surprises when you had to write it up?
Not surprises. It was on my back burner for a long time, since Python SDK is actually a couple months old. But basically getting all the stuff together and summarizing it and putting examples in so people could try them.
Cool.
I don't know if it's appropriate place to plug ZTH Developer Sandbox, but that's one of the easiest ways that you
How
can
do I go there?
try. Go to zeds.openzd.org. And it's referenced from the blog article as well. And then if you sign up.
Oh, I gotta sign up first. Let's see how long it takes me to sign
Probably-
in with Google. I can't just sign up with any account. It's only Google.
Well, you can
I'm-
just
I'm
sign
out.
up with
I'm out.
email and you can just sign up with email and a password.
Can I? It doesn't.
Yep.
Where? It says sign up with Google.
I think if you just put your email and the password and and click on let's go, then it will work.
No, come on. There's no way that'll work. Come on. OpenZD.org. Eugene is my friend. Let's see. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Now everybody knows my password. I did not
You're
type
in.
that. All right.
And then you can start building your network. In fact, the network is already built, so you can just focus on defining services, creating your endpoints, and so forth.
Take the guided tour. We got some interesting thing. Oh, look at that. That's nice. Very neat. So you use ads a lot, I know, Eugene. I have not given it too many tries, but if you're out there looking for a real easy way to start writing code and not having to worry about your overlay network, you could try Zeds out. Nice.
Yeah. Since I work on SDK mostly, so I'm right at the edge, living on the edge, so to speak. This is a perfect tool for me. I can write my SDKs using that developer sandbox network for both sides. And the examples that are in the Python GitHub repo uh, use that sandbox.
Very cool. Nice. Ken, how was your hacker news? So you spoke about or wrote about or made a webhook Z. And that's right. Did you use the?
Yes, I did. I used the Python SDK to make a basic webhook sender. So it's a GitHub flavored webhook. And the idea is that if you've got a server that's expecting GitHub webhooks, you don't have to publish it to the internet or use a proxy or whitelist IPs or anything like that, which people would might alternatively do in order to receive webhooks from GitHub. This uses the OpenZD overlay to send it to a server that's still private using that
Very
Python
neat.
SDK.
Very neat. Well, that's cool. So I am running out of topics for today's Ziti TV. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add on top of either the webhook Z stuff using Python, Zeds, the Python SDK, the blog post, Linux Desktop Edge for Ziti Desktop Edge for Linux, or are we good today? What do you guys think?
I feel the need to put in a good word for the weather in Rochester.
Nice
I
and
like
cool
it.
today. Nice
Yeah,
and cool
nice.
today. Yeah.
It's brisk, but not downright cold. And the sky is just a little bit intriguing. It's not
Oh,
it's not
intriguing.
perfectly blue. It's flexing its muscles a little bit, but no rain coming down. So
Not
I
yet.
find it interesting and nice.
Nice. I also bet you Andrew is enjoying today's weather as well. Cool. Well, then that'll be our ZD TV today. It was great talking to you guys. Eugene, thanks for popping in. I didn't expect it, but that was great. Ken, always lovely to chat with you. Nice to see the blog post is out there from the SDK. Nice to see Webhook Z got some good traction. Sean, thanks for talking about the Desktop Edge for Linux and how we're going to start and stop that thing, because that's interesting to me. And until
Thanks
next
for having
time,
me.
we'll see you guys later.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.